Today, I want to talk about unleashing your child's potential, really tapping into this potential that kids have. It's a topic that I'm very passionate about. I love working with kids. I love helping kids realize and unleash the potential that's within them. I truly think that when we look at children, we're looking at who we really are because they've got no limitations. Their mind is not filled with these limitations, these paradigms I talk about, these outdated belief systems. And so I'm going to kind of go over a little bit. If you're a parent or you're a teacher or you're somebody who works with kids, you're going to want to listen up to this, because it's information and it's a concept that can totally revolutionize our education system, and it will totally change the life of that child. Now, kids are so receptive to this material. I often am asked, or I often think, well, how can we best teach this to our children? And we have to understand that, kids are so receptive. They are open books. They will just accept whatever you tell them. Think about it. When a child is little, we tell them that, Santa Claus is real. And they accept the idea. We tell them all kinds of things that are real. We tell them that, and they just like that, they accept it. They believe that it is real until such a time as we let them in on the truth, right? But I think we should be telling them about their potential. I think we should be unleashing that's within them. When we look at children, we're looking at who we really are. Who we are. You see, when you come into this world, you come in with a clean slate, like we're talking about. Totally clean slate, and you can decide who you want to be. The problem is that the child doesn't have a conscious mind in those beginning years. In fact, between the ages of 0 and 7, the child has no conscious thinking mind. Okay, all the child has is a subconscious mind, and it's totally deductive, meaning whatever is planted in there must be accepted. If you're a parent, this is gold, absolute gold when you're working with your kids. If you're a teacher, this is gold. Now, being a teacher in the past, I wish I would have known this in my beginning, years in my education degree. I had started to get into it. I started, once I was, doing substitute teaching, I was a little more heavily involved in the material. But I tell you, if you're a parent, this information will change your life and change your child's life. And so between the ages of 0 and 7, the child has no conscious thinking mind. He or she is purely subconscious. The subconscious mind is like the earth. It does not care what you plant in it. Whatever you plant will grow. So you can plant, if we relate this to a garden, you can plant weed seeds. And if you plant weed seeds, you cannot expect to get fruit or corn or carrots. It's just not how it works. Whatever you plant in that garden, whatever you plant in the garden of your mind or your child's mind is going to bring forth. It must grow by law. And so the child has no ability to reject any ideas that are going on around he or she. Whatever is going on around baby goes directly into that subconscious mind, and it has no ability to reject. There's an old saying that kind of comes sort of history, something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines of, if you give me a child between the ages of 0 and 7, I'll show you the man, right? Or I'll show you the woman. I'll show you the adult. Because it's what happens in those first 7 years. It literally sets the programming. It sets the programming, and it sets ultimately the fate or the destiny of that child. Awesome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are tuning in from and wherever you are tuning in from. I want to welcome you here. My name is Nick Larson.
I'm Kayla Larson.
And we want to give you a huge warm welcome to the School of Potential. We've got a really special event planned for you today, and I really want to encourage you to either, use the chat or to reach out, to take notes, to expand your mind, and to really begin to think.
You see, when we open our minds up and we allow ourselves to learn, incredible things can take place, because a closed mind simply will not accept new ideas. And many of the ideas that we may be sharing with you today may be new for you. Some of them may be repeat. You may have heard many of the things we're sharing before, but I can almost guarantee you many of the things you have never heard before. And it's going to give you a new perspective, not only in your child's life or your students' lives, but on your life as well. Fantastic. So with that being said, we're going to get started here, and I'm going to flip on some slides for us. Awesome. So we're going to be diving into today on the 3 keys for fostering emotional intelligence and resiliency in your home. And of course, if you're a teacher, this goes for your classroom, right? If you're a youth worker, this goes for the organization you work for, or the youth and the parents that you're working with. And so we're going to dive right in here, and looking forward to hearing more. And we're going to share a little bit of our story and dive into some of this material. And so first, of course, welcoming you to the School of Potential. The School of Potential really is a place where we combine science, spirituality, and personal growth, so you can turn your thinking into results and really create the life that you really want to live.
And it's just so fun in doing that. And once you start for yourself, you're going to want to share it with these kids and these youth and get this material out there.
Absolutely. You have got a marvelous mind that lies within you. And when you learn and understand both intellectually and emotionally how to leverage the power of your mind to create the results you wish, whether they be emotional results, experiences in your life, physical items that you wish to attract into your life, when you learn to leverage the power of your mind, I tell you, your confidence is going to go up. Your ability to make decisions is going to go through the roof. Your relationships are going to improve. Your health is going to improve. Every aspect of your life is going to improve because of many of the concepts and ideas and the keys that we share in this short webinar here today. And so if I'm being open and honest and vulnerable, honestly, you are not going to get everything you need, everything, all the knowledge that there is on this information here. You're not going to get it all today, because we only have an hour together. And for us to go through everything that we've gathered over really the past 5 years and condense it down in here, there's so much to talk about. And what we're going to share with you are really some of the most foundational things, not only to create an awareness for you, but to create a massive impact in your life. Applicable and memorable things that you can take action on today, not tomorrow, not next week, not something that you're going to have to wait a long time for. We want you to get results today, right? And so I encourage you to take notes, to write things down as to not necessarily what we say. Hey, it's easy to memorize. It's easy to listen and to hear what we say, but I want you to really think about how it makes you feel and what it makes you think about in relation to your life experience or your child's life experience. Wonderful. So we're chatting about emotional intelligence and this idea of the difference, hey, between emotional intelligence and the intellect.
Exactly. And really, the EQ, or emotional intelligence, has kind of taken a back burner in today's schooling. We really focus on academics and mathematics and all the learning, but truly, in reality, the biggest character trait that's going to develop success in the future is the ability to build and maintain healthy relationships, which would come under your EQ. So this is so important for us to learn, working with youth, for parents to learn, youth workers, because if we can foster this in ourselves, it'll filter down from the top towards them, and then they will be able to build and maintain healthy relationships and have a successful future.
Yeah. I want you to ask this question to yourself. And the question is, how many times in your adult life have you felt like you just didn't understand your mind? That you just didn't understand your emotion or how to navigate your emotions? If that's you, just answer that question for yourself. Maybe it's a yes, maybe it's a no. wherever you're at today, we're going to provide some light into that and give you some understanding as to how you can start to manage those emotions, to navigate through your emotional guidance system, as we call. Now, my background is in education, and I started my, my career off as a teacher. And I can tell you honestly that throughout my 4 years of education degree, that we spent very little time on this idea of emotional intelligence and really this idea of the mind and this marvelous potential that lies within us. And the truth is that the teachers didn't know it. The people training the teachers didn't know it. The parents didn't know it. And therefore, if you don't know it, you can't pass it down to our children. And it's our kids, it's our youth today, it's the younger generations that are the future for tomorrow's successes and tomorrow's experiences in our life as society. And so I think it is crucial to start understanding what the emotional intelligence idea is and how we can utilize the mind to create the results that we want. And so to give you kind of a brief overview of what today is going to look like, first and foremost, we're going to really dive into how you can learn. Because remember, if we don't know it, we simply don't know it, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so we want to provide you this information first and foremost, to learn and to integrate emotional intelligence into you and your child's life. And secondly, is to give you a model. Now, this is really powerful here, and it's a model that literally changed the course of our life. Okay, a simple idea, but so profound and impactful. It's a model and a system to use for creating a heart-brain connection so you can follow your heart while still being a critical thinker. How would you like it if your child grew up following their passions, following their dreams and their desires? We all tell them they can do that, but while still maintaining that level of critical thinking, which is very important in our world today, right? Number 3 is how to remove and replace old limiting beliefs, allowing you and your child to express your magnificence. I tell you, looking back before I knew this information, I mean, for both of us, who wouldn't want to remove these limiting beliefs? I think we get to this idea where, we just believe that that's just who I am. That's just the way I think, and end of story. And we just accept it, right? I think we haven't been taught who we really are, as I said. And when you learn how to remove and replace these limiting beliefs, your whole life is going to open up, and you are truly going to understand yourself, and that's going to allow you to help your kids and the youth that you may be working with. And lastly is a repeatable process that will further strengthen your confidence in self as a parent. How would you like that, to develop more confidence in yourself as a parent? In our journey interviewing parents and teachers and youth workers, one of the most blaring problems and challenges that youth workers, parents, and teachers seem to be facing was that they didn't feel they had the necessary confidence and training to effectively help the youth experiencing anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, all these challenges that they're experiencing at an early age as we start this self-discovery process, right? And that's where I think mentorship is so powerful, is to have somebody who has a repeatable process, who has a system and a model to help this young mind understand how their mind works, how their emotions work, and how they can use that to create the life they really want to live, to follow their heart, to create a connection between what they're thinking and they're feeling, to express that out into the world and let this magnificence just radiate into our universe. So those are some of the 4 things we're going to dive in today. And as well, you're going to receive these 3 keys that are going to allow you to develop emotional intelligence and resiliency for you and your children in your home. Sound good? Awesome. So a little bit of a backstory about Kayla and I. Of course, this is Kayla and me at our favorite place with my mom and my brother. We were up at Candle Lake, Saskatchewan, one of our favorite places to go as a family together. And
this year was different, though.
Yes, absolutely. This was different. And you can see us there all smiling, We're quite happy. But to be very honest, this was probably one of the worst times in Kayla and I's life. One of the most emotionally impactful times. At the time, we viewed it as a very negative experience. Hey,
Yeah, we definitely did.
this was taken shortly after my dad had passed away suddenly. And really after years of me going through chronic anxiety.
And then it kind of boiled up.
Exactly, right. It kind of reached a head. And so, I had tried to navigate through all of this idea of self-discovery and like, how do I move through this anxiety? I didn't know where to go. My parents were incredible parents, but they didn't really necessarily know how to help me, right? They helped me in the way that they thought was the best way. And it was a great way, but there's always a better way. I always found that I didn't get those permanent results I was seeking. And so as most of us, as we kind of get into this, if we're experiencing anxiety or depression or low self-esteem, which many of our youth are experiencing today, and it's the youth that experience that who don't really solve it, who end up as adults who experience this, right? And so I think that's why it's so crucial that we bring this information and this material to our youth today. And so, as many people, I started out with things like YouTube videos, guided meditations, eating maybe healthier, or one of the big ones was going to my general doctor and starting on the Western medical path. Right. And so I tried medication, I tried hypnosis, I tried, psychology and working through counselors and all of these things. And while they kind of produce some temporary results for me, and I'm not saying by any degrees that those aren't going to help you, because I think Western medical is incredible and it helps deal with a lot of trauma in our life. But when it comes to those chronic root things, the chronic issues that we deal with, I think we need to learn a little bit more about treating a person holistically and really getting into this idea of the power of the mind. And so I began my own self-discovery process because I reached a point where I said, you know what, enough is enough. I was lying on my bed one day and I was having a full-blown anxiety attack because I got called in to work a shift through the school I was working with to come in and do a subbing position. And I got off the call, even though I said yes to the job, I got off the call and bang, just like that, anxiety flooded my entire being. And at that point, it was like, I can't keep doing this anymore. Enough is enough. And in that moment, I knew something had to change. Now I was seeking growth. I was seeking more. And I later learned that whatever you're seeking is also seeking you. And so to put a long story short, I ended up coming across the movie The Secret. And I saw a man in there named Bob Proctor. And I don't know what it was about the movie. I don't know what it was about him, but I knew deep down in my heart and my soul that I was going to work with that man one day. And lo and behold, one day, a couple months later, I was wandering around a health and wellness expo, and I came across a video of Bob Proctor and somebody who was a consultant with his company and teaching his material. And I knew that things had aligned, and I knew that this was the next step. So I made the decision and I went down this path and I started to learn more about me. I surrounded myself with positive people. And Kayla and I, of course, had been going out since high school. And so I brought her into it and share a little bit about the process when I had come to you with this material, like really excited and totally different from where I was before experiencing the anxiety.
Well, at first I thought this must definitely be temporary because you had all this excitement and you were starting to do things that I'd never seen you do before, like doing some videos and even going live. And I was like, oh, this won't last. But truly, it didn't not only just last, but it built on itself. And you gained such a strong foundation in who you were and what you wanted. And then this passion and this drive that I had really never seen before started pouring out of you. And it has never stopped.
Absolutely. It's been a life transforming process. And what we're about to share with you today here is really, like I said, the principles, the foundation of what I learned from many of the mentors that I worked with and many of the mentors that Kayla and I have worked with since. We've been at this for about the past 5 years now, and it's been a phenomenal journey learning more about who we are. Kayla, of course, has a background in physiotherapy and very knowledgeable when it comes to the human body. And I was very much involved in this idea of spirituality and personal growth. And, we came together and decided this needs to be taught to our teachers and to our youth. And so we created the School of Potential as a way to bring this material. And of course, after I made the decision to become a consultant with Bob to bring his material out into the world, and especially to bring it to our youth and our parents today.
Because truly, you shouldn't have to wait till you're 25, 35, or even 45 to discover who you are, what your purpose, why you're here, and what you're doing.
Absolutely. So a little bit about us, and reach out to us if you're watching this webinar and you say, hey, I want to learn more about you too, or I want to get to know you more. Reach out to us, contact us, book us, book in maybe a free coaching call. We'd be happy to connect with you. Now, I want to let you know today that we're not selling anything on this webinar, although we do have programs that you can get involved in. Today, we just want to provide you as much value as possible. So like I said, you can start getting results today. But what we are going to give you an opportunity to do is to hop on a free discovery call so that we can find out where you're at, maybe where you'd like to go. Maybe you're in a similar situation as I was those years ago, and maybe you're searching for more. Maybe that's why you're on this webinar. I don't think anything happens by chance. I believe it all happens by law, and that you have truly attracted yourself to this event. And so we're super grateful to have you here, and we hope that you gain a lot of value from this. So as we start out here, I want you to take a moment and I want you to look at your hand. I want you to pull your hand up in front of you, and I want you to take that hand and I want you to place it right onto your heart. And I want you to take and close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and just notice that heartbeat. And I want you to just connect in right now, and I want you to feel the magnificence that lies within you. I know you feel it. I know you feel it, even though maybe you don't feel it all the time. I think when we take the time to consciously connect, to slow our breath down, to slow our minds down, to get out of the constant state of hurry that our whole society is in, to put our hand on our heart and to really just feel that, to feel the magnificence and the brilliance and the potential that lies within you. The chances of you being here right now alive is astronomical. You are such a unique and phenomenal individual. Now, you may not believe me on that right now, but what I want you to do is I want you to take and I want you to borrow my belief and Kayla's belief in you. We've come to the understanding through the study of us that we're no better and no less than anybody else, and that we're all exactly the same, and the only difference lies in our results. And so I know that whoever you are and wherever you are, that you are just as magnificent as anybody else on the face of this planet. And if you've got a dream and an idea in your mind, I know without a shadow of a doubt that it absolutely can and will happen for you when you apply the material that we're about to share with you. And you're going to notice that your ability to navigate through your emotions and self-understanding and self-discovery is going to just shoot through the roof. And then I think one of the most incredible things with this is you're going to be able to pass this down to other people, because you're going to be able to teach this now. You're going to be able to share this with the people in your life that you love the most, the people who you see maybe struggling or going through challenges. You're actually going to be able to help them. I mean, how incredible would that be to see, your child struggling through things and to be able to give them a system and a process or a model to be able to understand themselves and take action towards their own personal growth and development. Beautiful. Just feel that brilliance. And so the first key that we're going to dive into today, and you're going to want to take notes on this, you're going to want to write this down, because we're going to dive into just some really great information here. And it's on the heart-brain connection.
So the heart-brain connection. I've been studying this for quite some time now, and the more I study this, the more excited I get, because they're showing so much research for our youth and for adults that people who have a really good heart-brain connection, people whose heart and brain are in coherence, they're working together, they have better decision-making skills. They have more mental clarity. They easily build and maintain healthy relationships, and they move forward with ease and success, and they know what they want. So it's so, so cool. So the biggest thing that changes our heart rate variability, is our feelings or our thoughts, because just by thought alone, we activate the heart. You can think of a moment where maybe you were in a lot of fear, maybe your child fell or something like that. And what happened instantly? Your heart rate increased. You went into the fight and flight zone. Now we're not so worried about resting and digesting and healing and all that kind of thing. We're worried about being safe. What we want to do is we want to calm our heart rate. We want to calm our mind. We want to tap into that rest and digest nervous system. This is where we heal. This is where we grow. And this is where we ultimately can transform and create a new version of ourselves. So it's just so important to remember that there is way more connections or messages being sent from the heart to the brain than there ever will be from the brain to the heart.
That's right. It's such a beautiful thing to really understand. Hey, we're told as children, or we're told as these young minds, that we should follow our dreams, we should follow our passions. And then we get out into the world and we become very brainy. We get into it very logical, and well, where's the money going to come from, and how are you going to do that, and what are the steps, what are the processes? And we kind of lose that connection to our heart. But I mean, if you've ever looked at a child, if you've ever watched a child go after what they want, they're natural risk takers. They just plug into this potential that lies within them. They don't know how it's going to happen. They just know it's going to happen, right? And they move towards it. They lead with their heart. And I think it's such a wonderful thing. And what we want to do here today is really teach you how to lead from your heart, but also to bring your mind with you, to bring your brain with you. Right? Because critical thinking is very important as we begin to go after what we really want in life. And so I once heard that the longest journey an individual take is from their head to their heart. And we want to go on that journey with you. We're continually going through the journey. We've come a long ways from where we once were before, but we're not even close to where we know we can be. And truly, I believe that it is this journey from the head to the heart, to tap into this emotional guidance system, to really decide, who do I want to be deep down inside, right? And what do I want to express to the world? And so in talking about the heart-brain connection, I think it's important that we give you a visual to work with, because the reality is our mind works in pictures. Our mind works in pictures. Now, I want you to take a moment right now, and I want you to think of the mind. I want you to think of the mind, and I want you to ask yourself, what does it look like? What do you see when you think of the mind? Now, the truth is that majority of people we talk to, what do we hear?
They see the brain, but the truth is the brain is an organ. It's an electronic switching station.
Yeah.
The mind is in every cell of the body. The brain is just an organ.
That's right. So we get very confused. It's like, okay, so the mind is not the brain. The brain's not the mind. So what is the mind here, right? We've actually never seen the mind. Nobody has ever seen the mind. We think it's the brain, but it's simply not. And so what we're going to give you here today is a model of your mind. Now, this was developed by Dr. Thurman Fleet back in 1934. He was from San Antonio, Texas, and he was involved in the healing arts. And he said, we're treating symptoms in the body, and we're not getting to the root cause of things. And he says, since everything originates from the mind, it's to the mind that we have to turn to if we ever want to have true health. And so if you have a youth that is working through anxiety or depression or low self-esteem, you're going to want to listen up, because this is going to give you a solid understanding of really how to help them and how to pass this down to them. And the coolest thing is that children get this almost faster than most adults, because their mind is so receptive. They're so open to it. And it's a really simple image that we're about to share with you, but it is incredibly impactful and incredibly profound. And so here we go. This, I want you to let represent your mind. Now you might be thinking, okay, this is the big idea here. This is the big thing. It's a circle on the page. And you might chuckle a little bit. And I tell you, we've had a few people chuckle at this video and or this image and kind of go, okay, where are you going with this? But I tell you, the more they study this, they don't chuckle anymore, right? They really dive into this material and they go and they just say, thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing this information with me, because it's changed my life. One simple image is going to alter the course of your life here. So I want you to let that represent the mind. And down here, I want you to let that represent the body. And then we're going to take and we're going to split this large circle into two parts. And we're going to split this up here. Now, the top half there, the top circle is larger than the smaller one because it's the mind that controls the body. The body is really an instrument of the mind. It just does exactly what the mind tells it to do.
You see, the mind is movement and the body is the manifestation of the movement. Just like you can't necessarily draw an action like a kick or a throw. Mind is movement. It's in every cell of the body.
Absolutely, right? Keep listening and keep thinking here. Keep your mind open. And so we're going to split this top circle into two parts. We're going to call this the conscious or the thinking mind. And down here, we're going to call it the subconscious mind or the emotional mind. Now you'll notice that the brain is next to the conscious mind and the heart is next to the subconscious mind. And of course, down here, then we have the body. Now that's not the way it is, but we need an image to work with because our mind works in pictures. Now, where there was no image before and there was chaos and maybe confusion, now we're going to bring order to the mind because you have an image to work with. And so the conscious mind is the thinking mind, and the brain is really the physical manifestation of this logical side of you, this intellectual conscious mind of yours. And the physical representation of it is the brain. But the brain is not the mind, right? The brain is not the mind. And so the conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject ideas. We're going to dive into this a little bit later. And it's also this intellectual side of you. It's where you pile up the information. It's where you really think. And now we have the subconscious mind down here. And the subconscious mind is actually what the ancient Greeks referred to as the heart of hearts, not the physical pump. While the physical pump is the physical representation and manifestation of the subconscious is this emotional, and also, this is really powerful, the universal side of you. You've probably heard that we're all connected, right? And you've probably experienced a time in your life where you were thinking about somebody, you felt a really strong vibration, and all of a sudden that person called you up, and you went, wow, what a coincidence, right? You were picking up on that vibration. You could feel you're connected through everything.
But the truth is, science tells us that everything in the universe works by law and not by chance or luck.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have the body down there. And the body is the manifestation of what's going on in the mind. Remember, it's the mind that controls the body. Now, when we can start to create a heart-brain connection, this is really cool. Not only does it change your physiology, not only does it help you physically in creating, like you said, better decision-making processes, you feel better, all these things go on physically. But here's what happens to you when you align your thinking mind with your emotional mind. You begin to get really clear on what you want. Now, as you get really clear, both consciously and emotionally, that is naturally expressed with and through the body, through your actions and your behaviors. And you probably agree with me that it's your actions and behaviors that are producing the results that you experience in life.
It's actually been proven that you can't even think a thought without it changing your physiology. Because as soon as you think a thought, it changes your heart rate, and then that connects to the brain. All the steps keep going.
That's right. Here's how it goes, and you'll want to write this down. Your thoughts cause your feelings, and your feelings cause your actions, and it's your actions that produce your results. And then so many of us let our results produce the same thinking,
the same
right?
Feeling, same actions, and same results. And that's a cyclical cycle that can be painful to watch, painful to observe, and painful to be stuck in.
This webinar is going to allow you to step out of that. as you begin to create a heart-brain connection, and we get both of these parts of your mind in alignment, both with the same idea in it, both with the same image in there, and you're going to create some phenomenal things in your life. So that's key number one. Now, before we dive into our other keys here, I want to go through a little bit of an exercise here. And I want you to notice that I've got an image of a kitchen up here. I want you to think of your kitchen now and take a moment and close your eyes. Close your eyes, and I want you to mentally go into your kitchen. Wherever you are right now, close your eyes and mentally go to your kitchen. You're standing and you're observing your kitchen. And you notice what's going on around there. And then you're going to take and you're going to start walking over to the refrigerator. You're going to take and you're going to open up the fridge, and you're going to look inside the fridge, and you notice that there is a bright yellow lemon sitting in the fridge. I want you to go and I want you to take and grab that lemon, bring it out of the fridge, close the fridge door, and I want you to take and set that lemon on the counter. Now I want you to go and I want you to grab a knife and then grab a cutting board. And I want you to walk back to that counter, put the lemon on the cutting board, grab the knife, and I want you to go hold the lemon, and I want you to slice through that lemon. And just notice as you slice through the lemon, all of a sudden you start to smell this beautiful citrus aroma. You start to smell that in the air. In fact, it's filling the kitchen. So much so, it just smells so good in here. Then I want you to go and I want you to start cutting that lemon up into nice little wedges. And as you do that, all of a sudden you're smelling more and more. You notice some of the juice is kind of spilling out of the lemon onto the cutting board. You can really still smell this. And then I want you to take that small little wedge. I want you to put the knife down. I want you to take that small wedge between your thumb and your pointer finger. And I want you to bring it up and I want you to look at it. I want you to see kind of the lemon juice is dripping off of it. You can smell the citrus smell. And I want you to take and I want you to hold it up and I want you to put it right in your mouth and take a big bite out of that lemon. Now, I know what's going on in my body right now, and I'm even doing the exercise here. I want you to notice what's happening in your body.
And we invite you to open your eyes once you're done.
Yes. Notice what you notice there. Now, chances are you're beginning to feel certain things take place in your body. You're noticing you may be producing more saliva. You may even physically taste a sour taste in your taste buds, right? Or you may actually, as I was saying, you may have actually smelt the aromas of the citrus lemony smell, even though you didn't have it around wherever you are. And so what I want you to take away from this is that we were able to produce a physical response in your body by thought alone. And just because I was saying this, it had nothing to do with me, really. You were doing all of it in your own mind. You could sit there and just think about it, and you would do it without me talking through. You did this all through your own mind. So just start to understand how powerful that mind is of yours, that you can think and you can turn on these physical responses by thought alone. And so if that is true, if you could do that right now and you could experience the power of your mind just right here in this moment, I want you to realize and maybe understand and ask yourself, how often am I turning on the stress response by thought alone? How often am I producing anxiety in my body by thought alone? By getting involved in my worries and my doubts?
Psychology says that we attract what we love, what we hate, and what we fear. What are you focusing on most?
That's right. We spend so much time thinking about what we don't want that we forget to focus our attention and energy on the things that we do want. It was Emerson who said, the only thing that can grow is a thing we give energy to, right? And where your attention goes is where your energy flows. And where your energy flows, that's what grows. That's what grows in your life. Now, that took me a long time to really understand emotionally. I got it intellectually. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Sure. But I was still thinking of what I didn't want. I was still focusing on my worries and my doubts and my anxieties. It wasn't until I kept listening to this. It wasn't until I surrounded myself with other people who were teaching this and supporting me that I started to understand it emotionally. And that's when my actions began to change. And I started to shift my mind and shift my energy to the things that I did want. I thought, well, I wanted to be confident. So what would that look like? Right? So many of us know what it's like to feel anxious or to feel depressed. But when it comes to answering the question, what would it look like or feel like to be confident? We kind of go, well, I don't know. I guess I never really thought of it. Right? I never really thought of it.
So the good thing about knowing what you don't want is if you know what you don't want, you can get really specific and clear about what you do want and start painting that picture.
Absolutely. Start building a picture right now of the person that you want to become, whether it be you as a parent, a teacher, youth worker, or even if there's youth on here, right? Start building the picture of who you want to become. You may have heard that you attract what you want in your life. And I'm going to go out and say that that statement is actually kind of false. The reality is that you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. It's not what you think about, it's what you feel about, right? It's that deep emotion inside. And as you begin to alter who you are and what you are and decide who you want to be, you're going to attract some incredible things into your life. Beautiful. So key and number 2
is so within, so it, or as within, so without. Our environment is but our looking glass. And truly, what we have we cannot grow beyond where we grow within. We have to experience this growth for ourselves in order to support our youth and our children in the future generations to understand this.
That's right.
And as we were discussing, we have this thinking mind, this logical mind, and we have this deep emotional feeling mind. And now the truth is that the subconscious mind, this deep emotional mind, it doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. Now that's a big life hack right there.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't know whether that lemon was real or imagined, well, let's use this to our advantage. Let's start playing it with it. Let's start creating pictures of what we want. If you want lemons, go for it. But if you want something else, if you want to have a confidence, if you want to have a loving relationship, if you want to have a healthy and fit body, if you want abundance in your life, whatever it is, you can have that. You just have to build a crystal clear image of the good you desire.
That's right. And that's where key number 2 really comes in, because as you build it within, it will be reflect in your external environment. It was William James who said, we think in secret and it comes to pass. Environment is but our looking glass. You ever found that your inner worries and your doubts and the things that you think in secret, all of a sudden they kind of show up and then you tell people, I told you so. I told you that would happen, right? The truth is we've created it. Now, when I came to that understanding, and this was, if I'm being honest, this was one of the hardest lessons that I had to go through. But when I learned the lesson, it was one of the most biggest rewards I have ever experienced in my life. And the lesson was that I had to come to grips with the fact that I was playing a role, in fact, the only role in the creation of my anxiety attacks, and the times that I was passing out from the anxiety. I was all creating it within. My worry and doubt turned into fear and anxiety, and it turned into depression, and it caused my whole body just to shut down. And it all started with my thinking. It was all the images that I was holding inside. And I want to share with you today a step-by-step system and a process right here, right now, that you can take and integrate into your mind and into your life and start taking action on it today. Right today, right now, right here, you can start to act as though you're the person you want to become. You can do that. And I don't say that because I read it in a book. I say it because I did it. And I tell you, it was easier than I thought. It was so much easier than I thought to just begin to act as if I was this person. And slowly but surely, I became that person. But it all started with the thinking and the images that I held in my mind. As within, so without. So really think here. We're going to go through a process. You've got a conscious mind. It's your thinking mind. It's your intellectual mind. It's actually what separates you from all the other creatures in the world. They run on instinct and they blend in with their environment. Sometimes you could be standing right next to a deer in a forest and you'll never know it's there because it just blends right in, hey? But we stand out like a sore thumb. And that's because we've been given the ability to create our own environment.
See, our mental muscles, they were created so we could appreciate what we've created for ourselves in the past, but they are not, our sensory faculties, sorry, are not to create the future. This is where we have our mental muscles, which we teach at the School of Potential to Youth. It's our ability to use our imagination, our memory, it works both forward and backwards, our will, our ability to focus, our reason, the highest faculty we're capable of, our ability to think. And we hope we've got you thinking during this webinar, and we want you to keep thinking. And then we have our perception, which is our point of view. I love the way Wayne Dyer put it. He said if you change the way you look at the world, the way you look at the world will also change. And lastly, we have our intuition, right? And these all really relate to emotional intelligence and resiliency, because once you build these mental muscles, you're going to be able to use your feelings and your subconscious mind to create a life by design rather than default. And truly, everyone has these muscles. Some of us have strengthened them and use them, and some of us, we need to continue to work on them.
Absolutely. So in the conscious mind, you have sensory factors, which is what plugs you into your physical environment. Now, like Kayla said, the sensory factors are actually very poor creation tools. It's the higher mental faculties that allow us to create. Imagination being probably one of the best, the imagination was literally given to you so that you may create your future. Now, that is a wild idea. And I think it's so cool that children have phenomenal imaginations, and then we tend to kind of squash them later on in life. Let it go wild. Let the imagination go wild. Let them strengthen it, right? They're literally creating their future. And so these sensory factors, we've got information that is flowing in through the sensory factors we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And that's how we've been trained and conditioned to operate within the world. We go by what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. We live from the outside in instead of living from the inside out, from this brilliance and magnificence that lies within you and expressing it out into the world. And so you've got all this information coming into your mind, and you can accept or reject any idea that comes into that mind of yours, right? Any idea. Now you may say, well, no, but I can't. The truth is, the conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject. Anything that I share with you today or Kayla shares with you today, you can reject if you want. We hope you don't, because it's great information, but you don't have to accept it. You don't have to accept it. Now, here's the deal, is that the things that you do accept, that you let kind of fester in that conscious thinking mind of yours, you probably found at a time you're worrying, you don't just worry about it once, you're kind of like over and over and over and over again, and on repeat. And you then all of a sudden, as you continue to repeat it, you begin to get emotionally involved in this idea, right? And so now it's not just a thought. Now it's a thought mixed with emotion, and you begin to plant that idea into your subconscious mind. Now, here's the really interesting thing about the subconscious, is that it can only accept ideas. It absolutely must accept the idea. Whatever you hand over to it, it just accepts. It's kind of like the earth. You see, the earth is what we call amoral. It doesn't care what you plant in it, right? You can plant a corn seed or a pea seed or a carrot seed, and it doesn't say, oh, no, you wanted flowers. I'll grow flowers. It grows whatever you plant. Whatever you sow, you will reap, you'll harvest, right? And you harvest it through your results, your experiences, your life experience. Now, as that idea gets accepted in the mind, it creates what we call a paradigm. Now, maybe you've heard the word paradigm before, maybe you haven't. We're going to give you a perspective on this that is really going to change the way that you view you and the results that you get. And to put it really simply, a paradigm is a collection of your habits and your beliefs. It's this really big collection of habits and belief systems. And it's the paradigm that has control over your habitual behavior, right?
And the cool thing is that most of our behavior is habitual. Actually, by the age of 36, 90% of your thoughts are habit. Of the 12 to 60,000 thoughts you think a day, 80% of those are the same ones as the day before. And of those 80%, 90 are a negative thought pattern. So we really get into this thinking, feeling, doing kind of cycle. And we want to be able to share this with our youth that we don't have to go there, right? We can build the image of the future we want on the screen of our mind and impress that to be our belief.
Exactly. And so if you have a paradigm, a habit, or a belief system that is of the negative nature, a limited belief that you're not good enough, that you have anxiety, that you experience this, that, or the next thing emotionally, that paradigm, that belief system is going to start it's going to start to bubble up from your subconscious and influence the conscious mind. It's going to start to feed thoughts and ideas to the conscious mind. And now that's your habitual way of thinking. And that's what you predominantly think in your life. And it just keeps kind of influencing each other, right? You think, and then it goes down into the subconscious, and the subconscious kind of bubbles those ideas back up, right? And then you continue to think that way. And now here's what happens is that whatever is impressed into the mind must by law be expressed with and through the only instrument that it can be, the body. And your body will actually shift in vibration, and it'll cause a natural action, okay? Now, vibration, you've heard us talk about the laws before. Now, vibration is a natural law of our universe. Everything vibrates. We literally live in this ocean of motion. You see, we only have two resources to go to learn anything about ourselves. That's science and theology. And they both clearly state that nothing is created and nothing is destroyed. And so everything's already here. If not in one state, it's in another. Now, you and I, we have the ability to alter the vibratory rate that we're in. And we alter that vibration by thought alone. If you were right now to bring on the screen of your mind an image and the emotions and the thoughts of a past negative experience, I can almost guarantee you, if we get you really emotionally involved in that, you're going to start to turn on maybe the stress response just by thought alone. Just by thought alone, right? Your heart's going to start going, your hands will get sweaty, all these things. And so it's what's in there that's influencing what's happening out here. We can turn that on. We can go in the past and create that. And so that is called vibration when we start to feel it in the body, or what we commonly refer to as feeling. Feeling is a word that we just invented to describe your conscious awareness of the vibration that you're in.
And we can feel this. Maybe you've walked into a room before and you can sense, there's some anger, or you can sense there's some sadness. And if you're a parent or a teacher, it doesn't take much to know what your little person is feeling just by sensing their emotions.
Exactly. Now, it's a vibrational state that you're in, your emotional state. Now, remember, that's caused by the paradigm, not necessarily by the conscious mind, right? It comes from the conscious mind, seeps into the paradigm, into the subconscious, but it's the subconscious mind that is basically the seat of action for the body and determines the vibration you put yourself into. Positive thoughts, positive vibration. Negative thoughts, negative vibration or low vibration. And that causes an action, and it's the action that produces an opposite and equal reaction. And it's this reaction that begins to alter your conditions, your circumstances, and your environment. Or as we say, your results. Now, a person could take a look at their results and they let their sensory factors get plugged into it. They look at it, they see it, they feel it, they hear it, and they let that control the way they think. It's not what they want. They want something completely different for their life, but they let the thinking control, they let the results control the way they think. And then they get emotionally involved in that idea, they internalize it and emotionalize it. And it produces the exact same vibratory rate, the same feeling, the same action, and the same results. And that's what we call struggle, the cycle of struggle, over and over and over again. And it's what I was involved in for years until I was given this image. And I realized, wow, If I was creating the anxiety, then that means, wait a second, I'm kind of calculating it in my mind. That means I can create confidence. I just need to know what confidence means for me. I just need to know what it looks like, what it feels like, make it tangible for me, build a picture in my mind and accept the idea, internalize it and emotionalize it, and it'll move me into the vibration of what I want. It'll cause me to act as though I'm already that person. And it literally, in a very short period of time, began to alter my conditions, my circumstances, and my environment like night and day.
We often say to our youth that we work with, if you use this and you integrate these skills and these tools, you're going to need a telescope to see where you've been. Because truly, you change the cycle, you put it in reverse, you create your results, and then you start thinking from the goal.
That's right, right? Think from the goal. I love that. Awesome. So let's keep thinking here. Let's keep thinking. I want to really tap you into who you are, because remember, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. So the question might be, well, who am I? Well, I'm Nick. I'm Kayla. Well, that's not really who you are. It's, my name is Nick Larson. Well, those are two words that I'll use probably for the rest of my life, but it's not really who I am. I was given those two words. I didn't even choose them, right?
And you can change them.
And you can change
them.
them. Yeah. But it's not really who you are. Well, I used to be a teacher. I'm a teacher.
I'm a physio.
Well, no, that's what you do.
And that changes.
Yeah. But it's not really who you are.
And then people say, well, then I'm me. I'm my body. Well, we don't say I'm hand, I'm foot. No, you have a hand, you have a foot. And some people don't. And that's okay too. So you're not your body. You're not your name. You're not your results. You're not your job. What really are we?
That's right. And so lots of people, like you said, they think I'm my body. I am a physical human being. Well, the truth is that you are the manifestation, you are the physical representation of a spiritual part of you. You are spirit first.
In science, we call this energy.
Yeah, right? The scientists will tell you, yes, it's energy. And they'll say, what is energy? Well, it was never created, never destroyed, always was and always will be. And it's 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. Now you ask a theologian, what is God? What is spirit? And they'll tell you, God or spirit was never created, never destroyed, always was and always will be, 100% evenly present in all places at the same time, all knowing, ever powerful. So we're talking the same thing here, you guys. We're talking the same thing. You are a spiritual being. And along with that comes expansion and fuller expression. Spirit, the essence of you is always for more, always for fuller expression and expansion. That's why you want.
Think about this in nature. A tree, the law is either you create or disintegrate. A tree is either growing up or it's growing, it's not growing and it's dying, right?
That's right.
Well, that's the same as you and your child and your youth. We want to get on the vibration, on the frequency of creation.
That's right, right? Tap into that. Tap into who you really are. Now, we're just getting on the tip of the iceberg here, but I hope you're beginning to understand that you've got some real magnificence that lies within you. And so you're a spiritual being first. You have an intellect. This is your mind. This is your ability to think. And you live in the physical body. Right? Spiritual being, you have an intellect and you live in the physical body. Now let's relate this to your thoughts. You see, thought is what we call omnipresent. It's everywhere. And you can literally pluck a thought out of the no thing, and you can take and combine those thoughts and wham, just like that, you can build an idea in your mind. Right? You have an intellect and you can start to build ideas and images in your mind based on the individuals that you pick in. Right? Sometimes we have ideas or thoughts that flow into our mind that are completely random and weird thoughts. We go, where the heck did that come from? Right? The thoughts, it's all in the air. You heard love is in the air, right? Well, the thoughts are in the air. Everything's in the air. It's all in vibration, right? You want better relationships? It's in the air. The thoughts, the ideas for it are in the air, right? You want more abundance in your life? It's in the air. It's in this substance, this intelligence that permeates all things, the spiritual side of our reality. And you take that and you build ideas in your mind, and all ideas Andrew Carnegie, who helped Napoleon Hill commissioned him to write the book Think and Grow Rich, which is one of probably the most phenomenal books in personal growth that you'll ever come across. And Andrew Carnegie was quoted once saying, any idea that is held in the mind that's either feared or revered begins at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. What happens to that idea? It moves into your results. It just begins to manifest into your physical environment. All ideas must move into form. In fact, it's one of our laws of the universe we call the perpetual transmutation of energy, right? This is how we turn trees into paper. We transmute the energy. It's still energy, right? I have a glass of water right here. Now, the glass is energy. The sand that we made the glass with was energy.
A different form.
A different form. The water in the glass is energy. My hand is energy. They're just different vibrational states. And in all, we can transmute the energy. We can turn it into anything, right?
So if I added some heat to this water, it's very physical water, it would probably turn into steam.
Yeah.
And then if we continued to add heat, it would again turn into ether or something in the air.
Exactly. You add energy to energy and you get more energy.
Or it can go in the opposite, right? We have clouds and out of the clouds come rain.
Exactly, right? And this is exactly how it works in your mind. And so when we're talking about building emotional intelligence, when we're talking about building the emotional state that you really desire, or helping the youth that you're working with do that, where do we need to go to? Well, we've got to go to the spiritual side of ourselves, the thoughts, the non-physical, because everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in the physical. And you see all three of these areas of you, they're all connected. They're all connected like a rainbow. There is no line of demarcation where one starts and the other stops. Just like if we were to add heat to this water and the water were to turn into steam, and then the steam were to go into the air ether as a gas, you could tell where the water stopped and started, or where the ether and the steam stopped and started. It's all connected. It's all hooked up to the one above and the one below. And so as you draw those ideas in, you build the idea of the person you want to become and the emotional state that you want to have. Maybe it's confidence that you want to develop. And you hold that image on the screen of your mind with the use of your will. You hold it on the screen of your mind with the use of your will. It must and will move into your results through your actions. It works to and through you, through your actions. It's a beautiful idea. Now, you may not quite get it emotionally yet. Keep studying this. You might want to go through this webinar 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, maybe even 100 times. You see, we've been teaching this idea probably more than 100 times. The truth is, every time I teach it, I learn a little bit more about it. And I learn a little bit more about who I am as I teach it.
So this is so important moving forward, because we really want to be moving forward to fostering this emotional intelligence and this resiliency. And in alignment with that, if we're going to be doing that, we got to be our true authentic self. And ultimately, I feel like we need to do this for ourselves in order to show and support our children and our youth in doing this as well. Because if we're not doing it, they're going to learn more from what they see and from the actions you're taking than what you say. And once it was Bill Gove, who was an amazing speaker, but he was quoted saying that if I want to be free, I've got to be me. I've got to be the me I think I should be, not the me my kids think I should be, not the me my partner thinks I should be, or someone else. If I want to be free, I got to be me, and I got to get knowing and figuring out who me is. So this is a process. We always say that there's no graduation date to personal growth and development, because it's a constant unfolding process. Just like a flower, you're constantly growing into this new and better version of you and yourself, and you're constantly creating these images that you will move into form by law.
Absolutely. Express that magnificence that lies within you. I think we all come into this life with gifts, talents, and abilities. We're meant to give. We're meant to let, not necessarily to get.
And it was Steve Bow who said once time, we have more gifts and talents than we could ever use in this lifetime. Our gift to the world is now to develop those gifts and talents and then to use them.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. So I want you to take a moment right now, and I want you to look through this window glass here. And I want you to realize that it's quite difficult to see through it. In fact, you may even be kind of guessing, what is that through there? What does that look like, right? And of course, it's very difficult to see what is through that image because it's a really dirty window, right? And you've got marks and dirt and smudges and everything on there. And that's kind of like what it is, with our mind, is we have a lot of crud, a lot of information that's in there, negative belief systems that are clouding our clarity view. And so what we want to do is we want to remove and replace these old images with new images of clarity as to who we really are. Now, I want to take a moment and I want to share with you a great example on how this actually works, on how your mind works. And I'm hoping that it'll create a new awareness in your mind to help you get the results you want. So I'm going to pop on here on the video, and I want to share with you this glass of water. And so this is a nice clear glass of water. You can notice on the outside here that there's some really nice patterns etched into the side of the glass. And this is kind of how we come into life as children. We come in as a blank slate, a open, receptive mind. You see, between the ages of 0 and 7, you and I had no conscious thinking mind. We were totally open. Whatever went into that conscious mind was accepted by it, and it could not tell the difference between real or imagined, okay? And I mean, we see this when we look at little kids. They're just pure positive energy, this pure, magnificent, living, breathing soul. It's just incredible to look at. And people are drawn to babies, hey? Like, we're just drawn naturally to it because they're just such great energy. And they're literally expressing to the world that. And so I'm going to get Kayla to hold this glass, and I'm going to grab a little flashlight here. And I want to remind you of the magnificence that lies within you. You are the light. You are magnificent. And you see, there is magnificence within you in the center of your consciousness. And just like this glass, you can begin to see that it reflects clearly in its external environment, this beauty of the pattern. You see, there's a pattern plan within you. And when your mind is clear and concise, you reflect clearly in your physical environment, whatever's going on in the mind. It's kind of like a projector. Our minds are like projectors, and we are the light from the center. And that's why we teach individuals to live from the inside out rather than from the outside in, right? Express that light. Now, here's kind of how it works. We are wide open as children, right? Wide open. And now the problem is that the parents and teachers and individuals around us don't necessarily know the workings of the mind. And that's why we're here today to teach this, to share the importance of understanding the mind. And so I have in this cup here a little bit of coffee. Now, I love coffee, so I'm using this as an example. And I'm going to take it and we're going to dump this coffee into this mind that is open, it's receptive, it's accepting everything that's given to it. And this coffee here represents the limiting beliefs and negative ideas of the external environment, the people, the other people's opinions and environment and conditions and circumstances. And little by little, we end up dumping these negative beliefs into the mind, right? And the child is accepting, it's accepting, goes all the way in there, right? And it kind of sits on top for a little while, bubbles in, but a little while later, it really gets integrated into who we really are.
And these limiting beliefs, they can come from television, they could come from social media. That's why they call it TV programming, because when you're sitting there and you get emotionally involved with this stuff, it goes straight in. You don't have any ability to reject that. Yeah. And that's adults and children.
Absolutely. And so again, we still have the light inside of us. We still have brilliance within us. There is perfection that lies within you. But as we put that light up there again, you can see it doesn't really reflect as clearly in the external environment. And so as individuals, we begin to look out in our external environment because we've got our subconscious mind, our paradigm is full of the limiting beliefs. And we look outside and our beliefs begin reflecting into the external environment, and it validates our thinking. And we go, you're right. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve that, right? I am anxious. Those people don't like me, and the list goes on. But it's truly because it's the images that we hold in our mind, the limiting beliefs in our mind that are reflecting on the outside. Remember, as within, so without. And so what we have to do is begin living from the inside out. Now, here's the same glass. If I were to take a hose and I were to take and put the hose in this glass and turn it on full blast, what do you think would happen? Well, we begin to remove and replace the old limiting beliefs. How do you change your paradigm, you might be asking? Well, you don't change the paradigm by changing the paradigm. You change the paradigm by building a new paradigm.
Just like it would be impossible for me to separate these coffee grounds from the water and the coffee like they were before, it is impossible to try to get rid of a belief. What you have to do is replace it with a new belief that makes the old belief obsolete, so it naturally just falls away.
Exactly. That's what we're teaching here today, right? I was experiencing anxiety, not because I wanted it, but because I was unaware of how to create confidence. But when I become aware of how to create confidence, wham, just like that, my life began to change because I began to think of confidence. I began to think of how I wanted to show up into the world. And I started a flow of energy through my consciousness. And I started to express this brilliance that lied within me. And it started to filter out all of this old junk, limiting beliefs. And I went through this self-discovery process, just like putting the hose in that glass. And I started to filter out all of the negative beliefs. And now here I am today, way so far from where I once was. But I know that I'm not even close to where I can be, because here's the deal. As a spiritual being, you are infinite. There is no end to the good you can do. Like we said, there is no graduation date to your personal growth and development. You're never going to reach a stage where you say, I know it all, because here's the truth. And the reality is, as the circle of your knowledge expands and grows, so does the circumference of your ignorance. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And it really keeps us humble. And it's a phenomenal journey that I've been on to realize that I just love studying this, and I love sharing this, and I love seeing people's lives change right before our eyes. It's an incredible experience. So I'm going to pop on my slides here again for us. And so to kind of bring this in for a landing here, key number 3 is this idea that there is perfection within you seeking expression. There's a pattern plan within you, just like the pattern on the outside of that glass. There's a pattern plan within you. And in fact, we can see patterns within every aspect of nature. You look at the stars and how they spin, and plants as they unfold and as they grow, right down to our DNA, this spiral, this pattern. Now, there is a pattern plan for greatness that lies within your child, that lies within you. And if you can learn to tap into that, to get in harmony with that, to acknowledge that, and to build an image in your mind around that, you're going to begin to reflect that into the world. You're going to begin to see it yourself. You're going to validate this idea that you're infinite. You're going to validate this idea that you're meant for more, that there is truly perfection within you seeking expression. And others are going to begin to see that too. They're going to look at you and go, you're different. What's changed with you, right? And I've had that happen where people come up to me and they go, there is something different about you, Nick. You've changed. And I go, I know I have. And it's by design. This has not happened by accident. It's happened by design. We've designed it that way, and we're always looking to improve upon it. And that goes for the School of Potential too. We've designed it the way it is, and we're always looking to improve it. Always looking to improve and to express more so that we can help you more to become all that you're meant to become. Beautiful.
So this leads us into an absolutely wonderful exercise that you can do with your child or your youth, or if you're a teacher. There's this poem, and it's by James T. Moore, and it's called The One and Only You. And I want you to really listen to these words. and really think of yourself when I'm reading you this poem. So take a moment now, take a big deep breath in. If you want to close your eyes, feel free, breathing out and relaxing, being totally relaxed. The one and only you. From every single blade of grass to every flake of snow, each is just a wee bit different. There's no two alike, you know. From something small like a grain of sand to each gigantic star, all were made with this in mind, to be just what they are. How foolish then to imitate, how useless to pretend, since each of us comes from a mind whose ideas will never end. There'll only be just one of me to show what I can do. And you should likewise feel very proud that there's only one of you. That is where it all starts, with you, a wonderful, unlimited human being. Now that's an excellent and amazing poem. And it's something that I suggest you print off and you maybe put it on your fridge or in your bathroom mirror, someplace where you or your child can connect in with it. And I suggest you don't just read it once, but you commit to reading it for a couple of weeks every day to tap in and to remind yourself of this brilliance, this marvelousness that's within you, and that you are an individual and you are completely unique. Because even the odds of you being here today are very low, and it's absolutely phenomenal that you are here.
Yeah, beautiful. So we want to give this to you as a free gift. You can head on over to theschoolofpotential.ca. You can find that, put your email in, your name, and we'll send it off to you as a free gift. You can download this, like Kayla said, print it off and keep it in your home. Read it as often as possible. As a reminder, remember, we are removing and replacing the old limiting beliefs as to who you are. And I guarantee you, if you were to read this poem every day for the next 90 days, you would notice a profound change in how you feel about who you are.
Because today it affected your thoughts and maybe a little bit your feelings, but it didn't get deep into the excess of your mind. If I was to ask you in 90 days from now and you didn't touch back in with this poem, you will have completely forgotten.
That's right.
And then we have another tool that we'd love to gift you. And this is an emotional intelligence questionnaire that you can work through for yourself, but also for your youth. And these questions are made for any level. You might just need a little bit more space, but walk through this with your children about the feelings, the actions, and the thoughts. And it's actually 2 pages. So I suggest you download that as well as a resource you can keep in your back pocket. And also to do this frequently, every 6 months, to evaluate, where did I come from? And now how do I want to move forward for the next year?
Absolutely. Beautiful. So go ahead, you can head on over to theschoolofpotential.ca. That's where you can download all those free resources. Plus, there's a couple other additional resources that you may be interested in downloading, learning more from some of our mentors, asking some of those questions. There's some great questionnaires on there and a really great webinar that you can take a look at on theschoolofpotential.ca. And I encourage you that if you've connected with this material, that if you found this of value and you'd like to learn more, I want to extend the invitation to you to book in a free discovery call where myself and Kayla and you can sit down, we can get to know each other a little bit more, find out where you're at, what you're experiencing, what you'd like to improve upon, and the image and the idea of where you'd like to be and experience in your life. And we'd love to share with you some tips and tricks and resources and other opportunities for you to get involved in, to really step into this magnificence that lies within you and start getting results today. So if that interests you, head on over to theschoolofpotential.ca, click the link, and we so look forward to connecting with you. But with that being said, I want to thank all of you for hopping on here for this webinar. It's been wonderful being with you. We so look forward to seeing you in the future. Stay tuned for any new events that we have coming out. We are here to serve you. We're here to help. We're here to share this information, to change lives, and to make a huge impact in the world around us. So have a beautiful and a blessed day, and we're going to see you on the next one.